Hi, it's Rhiannon Faith coming to you to share another story. So I want to tell you a story about who I am by way of what really matters to me. So as I said, Rhiannon Faith. Faith is actually my middle name, but it's more than just my middle name. It is who I am. And so I have, like all of us, I think, lived a lot of different experiences, and through those experiences have really grown deeper in my walk with God. And everybody goes through situations differently and navigates that differently. For me, those trials and tribulations have really deepened my faith and assured me of God's care and concern for my life. And so when I was thinking about what I wanted to share or how I wanted to share this, I kept thinking about how much those God moments have created gratitude in me. And so I was tolling over, well, what would I share that would be meaningful, or what would be something that someone might resonate with? And one of the things that kept coming to mind when I was 19, due to a variety of different circumstances, I was homeless, and that was a really trying time. I wasn't homeless in the sense of literally living on the street. Thankfully, my Aunt Lynn and Uncle Fred had a 15-foot trailer, and they had allowed my parents, my sister and I, to use that as well as a tent. So my parents were staying in a tent, and my sister and I were living in this 15-foot trailer. We were living in campgrounds, Carlsbad State Beach, and then also Guahomie Park in Vista. And so that was really difficult. And I had always sort of believed that if you worked hard enough and you did enough and you were diligent enough, you could avoid that sort of circumstance. And unfortunately, I had been working for my dad right before that had happened. And when his business went under, I was equally unemployed. And so I didn't have the autonomy then to be independent and maintain a place of my own, because I was now lumped in to the same circumstances. And that was really challenging, and certainly because of some choices on his part and choices on the part of his business partner at the time, we all sort of found ourselves in this position within my family. And so it was incredibly difficult. And during that time, I did quickly get another job, and actually 2 jobs. And so I was working 80 hours a week trying to pull myself out of these circumstances. And honestly, it would be easy to be bitter or angry at that business partner of his, or at my dad for the choices that he had made that had contributed to that situation. But I remember this one night, and I was laying there on what would be a couch normally in a trailer that you could fold out to become a bed. But I slept on it as the couch, because for whatever reason that was more comfortable. And as I lay there, and sort of the totality of my situation and the circumstances being beyond my control, I was so overwhelmed with peace and just comfort that while we had lost so much and we didn't have a place to live, I was well. And my family was well. Nobody was sick or beyond healing, or, emotionally or physically. And I just sat there in gratitude for the things that I had had up until that point. And even though I might never see them again, because a lot of our stuff had gone into storage, and there had been a pattern where things went into storage and they were just lost forever. I couldn't get to any place but gratitude. It just kept coming over and over and over again. Thank you, God, that you've given me these opportunities to persevere beyond these circumstances. You've given me a body able to work really hard and continue to pull myself out of this circumstance. And through his grace alone, that did not become a permanent state of being. Again, my aunt and uncle who had helped us get to that point with a place of some sort to live we were able to transition into another temporary setting, and then ultimately I was able to move back out with family for a bit before I got my feet back beneath me. But I have countless moments that were like that, and that's honestly kind of an extreme example, although in my life it's not. And so I think sometimes we second guess the motives behind someone's behavior, or we assume that because someone is joy-filled that they must have led an easy life. And I would say that I feel very joy-filled. You know, God has abundantly blessed me with fantastic kids and a wonderful home and an incredible fiance and loving family and incredible friends who are supportive and encouraging, a job that I enjoy. All of those things, they're just things, but the things of eternal value, you know, God is giving me those moments over and over again to say, hey, but I got you this far, and I took you to this place, and you're going to grow through this situation, and you're going to have an opportunity to share this with someone else who's discouraged. And so I guess I would say, don't assume that because someone else has a presentation that seems so joy-filled and or happy that everything has gone well. I think oftentimes it's kind of the opposite, that we've weathered those different storms and understood that that was just a season and that was just a challenge, and I've grown from that, and I can look at everything that I have today with a greater sense of appreciation because I know what it looks like to not have that. And so it's funny, as a parent, we try to create these environments where your kids don't suffer. You know, that's the last thing you want, is for your children to endure hardships. But when I look back on my childhood and even my younger adulthood, those situations helped refine me. And I grew so much from them and grew to appreciate what I had, grew to be grateful for every moment. And so as I go into different experiences, I can't help but just be overwhelmed with joy and thankfulness and for every little thing and every little moment, and reminded, you know, life is so fleeting, and you know, we're here today and we may be interacting with a loved one, or maybe we have a barrier between us and someone else, a challenge or hurt feelings or what have you. But I'm just pressed to be reminded and to share that it's just a moment. And so, like, let us live and love people generously where we're at in that moment, and appreciate that every one of them is precious. You know, the things that we have, the favor that we gain, for me, that is just all absolute blessing from God. And even the trials, those are opportunities where He's going to grow me in ways that I didn't necessarily want to grow, honestly, and many times over. Like, thank you, God, for your confidence in what I can manage, but I respectfully disagree. But I'm not up for that. I don't want to grow in that way. And yet His plan is better than mine, and He gives me opportunities to push beyond myself, this being one of them. And so I'm excited to see what else He'll do, and I'm excited to share more God moments that I've had. There's so many of them, honestly, but that one moment, just laying in that shouldn't have been exciting situation and just feeling so blessed and so grateful for all that God had done. It would have been easy to be upset. It would have been easy to be frustrated or angry, or in any of those situations to become bitter, but I couldn't go there. That just wasn't who I am. And so the faith foundation is really important to me. And I have a lifetime of stories about where He's shown up, and in huge ways, and honestly, in really little ways. And And all of those things really matter to him. So they matter to me too. So a little bit more vulnerable, I guess, than last time. But I'll continue to share and tell you stories as long as you're willing to listen. All right, have a good night.